The book of Jubilees, which was with the Dead Sea Scrolls, yet excluded by men of religious authority, states that Saturdays are the true Sabbath. Families were to stay home and praise and immerse themselves in the presence of the Creator of all things. Yet religion insists we leave our homes on Sundays to be given a word from a man. Why do we allow the one day set aside for our Creator to be planned out and delegated by another human being? See, even religion can become a distraction to what is the most important proclamation of our lives. We can proclaim it all day long. We're seeing that a lot in the Christian movement. Are we truly submerged in it? Where would we find the time? Convenient, isn't it? We have to earnestly seek the truth to truly be following him. I assure you, most of the ministers in the pulpits have been just as deceived as those in the pews. We need to study ourselves. We need to allow him to speak to us. Not through a man, allow him to speak to us. And that means a lot of us have to learn how to hear, because we've been conditioned for so long to go through a man. I encourage all of those under the cloak of Christianity to take a couple of Sundays away from your normal routine. Or set your Saturday apart to study and intimately communicate with him. Just create an environment where he can have the opportunity to lead instead of being led. If you make that sacrifice, he will be very faithful in revealing truths to you. And once you start seeing and hearing those truths, you can't get enough of it. You want to keep understanding. You want to keep searching. Modern day Bible even tells us about evil being in the highest statuses. Isaiah 19. And then you take Matthew 24, 22 through 24, or 1 Peter 1 through 2. Do you see the difference between the elite and the elects of the word? How can I prove to you that our religions have been compromised? It would seem to me that they have consistently taken away and held captive of how to combat the antichrist. I have had to look everywhere else but a religious system to gather the tools and the understanding to combat the darkness that I've honestly been blessed to experience. If I had not experienced such darkness and had I not searched for such tools, I would not be where I am today. It seems as if they have tried to erase those tools believers need to battle that very darkness, the evil. It almost seems as if the darkness strategically devised and preyed on the nature of man, the instinct, the pride, and need for control, so that you would still have to go through man to approach the King of Kings. When in fact, Jesus came to show us how little of man we need when it comes to our relationship with him. He came to show us that the temples had already become an idol. He came to show us the difference between God's law and man's law. He came to show us the way, the truth, and the light, the word. But here we are. We need to turn away from man and return to him. I encourage you to read the books left out of the Bible. I would start with the book of Jubilees and Enoch, as it makes the creation stories make so much more sense. The beginning and the end, they are connected. Again, a good time to ask for clarification from the Holy Spirit. You see, it's really easy spiritual math. If you take the judgment away, hate and hypocrisy would disappear. But then the balance between light and darkness would be shifted, wouldn't it? And since the greatest commandment of all is to love, why wouldn't the darkness feed people's souls with judgment and hate and hypocrisy? And it's doing it through religious systems. It's a perfect storm for division and misuse of power. We really should start looking at our self-proclaimed knowledge of man and start seeking his understanding and wisdom through the Spirit of Holiness. A one-on-one intimate relationship with him, so he's feeding you his truth. And that's exactly why our times are in the climate that they are in. We've allowed it. We still have a choice, though. And he's wanted that relationship with us since the moment we entered this world. You know, it's different from what most Christians have been conditioned to understand. It's deeper. It's connecting. It's even biblical. It's returning home. Our common Creator is balancing the scales. It's the birthing pains of understanding, which one day will become wisdom. It's painful. It has to be, because it wasn't intended to be forgettable. Yet, time and time again, we forget. That pain, it won't last forever. And it is the greatest lesson we will ever learn as a collective of the 3 to 4 generations who coexist right now. The greatest lesson for the human race, if we are aware enough, willing enough, humble enough to pursue it. Understanding is when the light shines in and illuminates all that was left in the dark. And from there, truth and wisdom are born and can be received. The moonlight, it shines through the shadows, and morning light not only chases the dark, but also clears any diffusing fog. The light makes things visible and clear. And if we pursue that light as it does us, we inherit the covenant taken from us by the longest, universal, and darkest deceit. And through this covenant, we also inherit understanding, and that understanding shows us to the door of wisdom. This is where a servant cannot serve 2 masters. We cannot possess the knowledge of men if the wisdom through the understanding isn't the foremost in our mind, our body, and our soul. Knowledge says I could be rewritten. Wisdom says I am the beginning and the end. Knowledge tells you not to look there. Wisdom says seek and find. Knowledge tells you, yeah, that won't work. And wisdom says, where there's a will, there's a way. Knowledge tells you, you have to be a functioning member of society. Wisdom says, follow me. Knowledge is only the best of the truth to make a deceitful lie believable. Wisdom is the understanding of the equation. Wisdom is truth. We find the truth by the light. The light came to shine on us all. But who will we serve? The tree of knowledge of good and evil, or from the tree of wisdom through understanding? Wisdom over knowledge. Relationship over religion. Faith over fear is the equation of freedom over slavery.